Hello all! How's it going, everybody? Rezi Orenji here, and welcome to another Music Talk stream. I hope you have all had a great week. I am yet again happy to let the good times roll, as it were, let the Music Talk flow. What have I been up to this week? It's just kind of been another week working, really. Just kind of been chipping along at the glam metal script, doing my own stuff in my own time. I was gonna have a band practice with one of my bands this week, but unfortunately we had to cancel last second because our bassist got sick. So it's not been too musical a week for me, but I have been trying. I have been still playing, I guess, Yarg to supplement yet another rhythm game and whatnot. Need to get back into practicing the drums. So, see, the difficult thing is that I've set up Yarg to play, with one of those plastic guitars. I mean, the Riffmaster is natively supported, thank God. And I think I've also kind of set up a vocal thing. I used my Blue Yeti like maybe once for like vocals one time, but I don't know, it was kind of sensitive. I think I might try and get like a wired USB thing for that. But when it comes to like hooking up like a fucking, oh my god, when it comes to hooking up an electronic drum set like the one I have, like it is a nightmare to map out. I need to sit down and work with that sometime. Yeah, no, I hope you all have had a decent week. I've what exciting things have been happening in the music industry. I feel like I should, with these with this beginning recap portion, I should be paying a lot more attention to recent goings on in the music industry and comment on them somewhat. But I my brand is being a lazy cat boy. I think I'm slow to catch on to the modern things and what have you. But enough rambling, enough preamble. Let's get into the meat of the matter today, and that is our guest. This guest, I believe, they're a friend of a previous guest of the channel, Sad Compositions. They're also a composer, fittingly enough, Sad Compositions' friend is a composer. But they're a songwriter, they write their own stuff. They're also a songwriter for hire. They do commissions. I believe they are a youtaite. I don't know if they would necessarily describe themselves as a Vtuber, but at the same time, they are very much an active presence in the Vtubing community. They've got great covers on their channel. They've written some pretty neat songs for other Vtubers. Would you all join me in welcoming Another Shiro?
Hello, hello.
How's it going, Shiro? Thank you for once again for joining us. She's coming to us from across the pond. She's in Britain at the moment.
Jolly
and
old
it is...
England, innit?
Oh yes, quite. And she's coming. It's midnight right over where she is. So I'm always thankful of European guests and guests in other time zones who are willing to work with me to accommodate. But anyways,
just a good thing that we're not doing this early in the morning. That would have been.
Oh yeah.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah. Usually I like to start these streams off by opening the floor to my guest, and I like to do that by asking them like what sparked their whole sort of drive and passion for music. Because it's one thing to just sort of casually listen to music in your spare time or whatever, have it as your background mood music, but it's another thing entirely to be like a commissioned songwriter for like the VTuber or youtaite space. So like how did your passion really start? Like
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long journey because I didn't start out doing songwriting. So I guess like in terms of music generally, for me, as you said, I'm a youtaite. So like I guess the new term is V-singer. I do weeb covers on the internet. Like that's kind of how I started out.
Yeah.
And singing's definitely been the thing that I've done as far back as I can remember. Like I was this horrible, obnoxious child, and I'd like harmonized to the radio. So I was one of those types of kids. So I always liked singing, and then I saw other people, like especially like Japanese youtaite on Nico Nico Doga doing covers of like Vocaloid music, and Vocaloid chemically changed my brain as a young teenager. So I was like, I want to do that. I want to sing. So I got a Blue Yeti. And I started doing that in, I think it was about 2013 that I started doing covers. Yeah, so I was singing for fun for a while, and I met other people through that who also had the same kind of musical interests. It's like, there's a whole network of folks. And then before that, I'd never like written a full song. I'd never been, that wasn't something that was on my radar. And then I think it was about 2015. I don't know if it was the first time that Miku had come to the US or something, but they were doing a song contest basically for Miku Expo for like the theme song, which they seem to do every year now. But they had a 2-week trial for Miku English. So I was like, oh, me, I write Miku, I do that, I can make Miku song. And she sounded horrible. You can't understand anything she's saying, but like it was, that was the thing I feel like sparked a kind of, I can, songwriting is fun, and I like doing this. And also that kind of, in a way that was like writing on like kind of the commission, in the sense of, there was a theme, and it's by a certain amount of time, and I feel like that kind of sparked that.
Just writing outside of yourself.
yeah, you write for some other reason than you just want to do it for fun, and I like doing that as well. But I think that kind of set the ball rolling, and I just ended up writing more and more. And then I found Vtubers, and I was like, these guys are cool. They have really cool themes. So I approached a few people. I was like, hey, I want to write you a song. And then I thought, hey, I could, I want to make this my career, because I was doing a full office job.
Do you have your own model? I don't know if I was looking around in your channel, and I know you definitely have your own like 3D your 2D representation, but I don't know if do you have like a live 2D, or do you want a live 2D or anything like that?
So I sort of put it in my Twitter thing that I kind of say I'm like Nelly Forte's owner. I have a VTuber, but it's kind of, I don't know, I felt like it'd be fun to have an entirely different persona as a VTuber as well. But I'm not that big on sort of streaming and stuff, but I have a very lovely model made by the same person who does my icon as well, Meowie. I love her.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's kind of a separate thing. I'm an elephant. I'm hoping to get more into that this year and maybe do some streaming and stuff. But yeah. Just kind of chugging along.
Hey, it's the VTubing path. I feel like has opened up considerably in the past few years. It's no longer you need to be the variety streamer that does a little bit of everything and like produces clips that go viral because you say a funny, dirty thing or whatever. Like I feel like the meta. Whatever meta there is no meta for VTubing success, really. I feel like you just got to do your own thing and hope that you get lucky in the algorithm. But in that, I feel like there's a lot of freedom to like do what you want and become your own person. So I definitely respect the approach you're taking with being very like musical focused, I guess is the word for it.
Yeah, I guess, because I don't really do anything else. Like I don't do much in the way of gaming. I kind of I was doing like some gingerbread decorating.
Nice.
Like one of the other karaoke and gingerbread decorating are the only things I have on the Nell account live streaming at the moment. So
yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, I've seen other people
hand cam streams are plenty fun. I've wanted to do one for a while, but I don't know how the hell I would make that work. How I would set the camera up for that.
Yeah, it was difficult. I've definitely got a crappy webcam that you need to invest a lot to get a really good one.
Right. So you mentioned you from early on you were really into singing. Have you ever had any like formal vocal lessons?
So kind of. Really, the only thing I've had properly is we used to have like when I did music in secondary school, so here in the UK it's like 11 to 16 years old. It's a bit shorter than regular high school. So I did music, and they kind of encouraged people to like they had a choir, and the way they got people to join the choir was they said, "Oh, you can have free singing lessons." Well, they didn't tell you, but you had to join the choir to do this. You know, like you get singing lessons in exchange for being part of the choir, because nobody wanted to do that seemingly. But they didn't say the singing lessons are gonna be with like 2 or 3 other students. And the problem that I found with that is that I didn't know at the time, but I'm a contralto, which is almost like a female tenor. Like I don't know if you know the sort of ranges. Yeah. I'm guessing you are familiar. So yeah, that was kind of when such a small proportion of girls are contraltos. All of the girls that were in my singing lesson were mezzos and sopranos, so we'd be singing mezzo and soprano songs, and the teacher would be like, you're really struggling, Shiro. Like, yeah.
I'm a tenor too, so I'm a tenor too, so I relate.
It's rough out here, man. Nothing's for us.
Yeah, no, I took vocal lessons a few semesters in college. You know, what was it? I started off singing like as a passion or whatever when I was in high school and took like high school choir, but like there was a point, I guess, where I was divided in college between like if I wanted to get better at singing versus getting better at the drums, and eventually I doubled down on drums and decided to abandon the vocal lessons, unfortunately. I mean, it's not to say that I don't still enjoy singing every now and then. I can carry a tune better than most, but I don't know. It's
I think
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I feel like with singing lessons in particular as well, because like there's a lot of stuff to learn with playing an instrument, but I feel like with singing, beyond like when you've got the foundation techniques down, like it's kind of more about just like, oh, I want to growl, or I want to extend my range, or like I feel like after that point you need a goal, and if you don't have a goal, if you don't want to do stuff like that, you just want to sing, like you'll honestly get better just practicing by yourself. So I feel like it's not for everyone.
Yeah. Like God bless my teacher. He taught me pretty well, like some classical fundamentals, but I'm the sort of person that has never really, I mean, I don't really care for technique or whatever, but I do think it's important to, get some sort of fundamentals down if you're playing an instrument. At the same time, I don't know, just there's so much control that goes into like projecting yourself well and having like, proper pitch and being on it all the time. And I don't know, I feel like I have a better, I enjoy the control more that comes with like, I don't know, being rhythmically minded on the drums than like, everything that
the
goes
voice
into
is so
vocals.
finicky as well.
Yeah.
Like I kind of wish that I was. Sometimes I wish that I had like an instrument that I was really good at playing as well, because it's just like sometimes. I mean, you get sick and that's it. You just can't sing for like 6 weeks. Or sometimes your voice just goes no, or you eat something spicy.
Oh, I've been there.
You couldn't just not play the drums for 6 weeks just because you got a cold, or like because you ate spicy food or whatever.
Exactly. Oh my god, I have a funny story about that. Like I remember I was part of this what was it? There was this like sort of are you familiar? I think it's like there's like this. There are these programs, I think, in like the United States for like high school level choirs, like choir students, where like you can apply to sing in like district level choirs, and then if you get there, you can apply to do
and
like
you get to the nationals and
stuff like that. Yeah, and I remember like one year I went out for district choir, and I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get to the next level, whichever it was, the regional choir, what have you, because for the past week I was like I was really I had come down with something bad and my voice was like fucked up from it. So I remember, I think, what was it? I was still feeling bad going into it. So what I did was I went to like a local convenience store, bought like a lemon tea, chugged it, and somehow I ended up passing the audition to make it onto the next stage. So, God bless T.
Yeah, there's some weird remedies that work for people. I remember we had like a thing at, in our college. We had a like really small live music venue. And I used to sometimes like try and help them with the mixing desks and stuff like that. And we had this girl come in one time, and like this was like it was like a crowd of maybe 25 people, so it was a really small event. She came up and she was gonna sing. It's like a open mic kind of thing. And she's like, just to let everyone know, I've got a really important singing gig tomorrow, so I don't want to get sick. And she pulled a bottle of like spray Dettol type stuff and sprayed it directly into the microphone and broke it. Like,
oh my god, that is hilarious.
Dude, that's not how you avoid getting sick.
Ah, Lord. But yeah, speaking of, you mentioned you wish you could learn some instruments. If you did have the spare time, what sort of instrument would you like to learn?
Oh, I think there's a silly answer, and then there's like an actual, like maybe I actually would answer. I feel like the serious answer is probably an accordion. But it's also like, because those things are expensive. Like they're really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I used to know a guy. There was a guy in my college who was like a local cryptid, and he was one of those people that could play every instrument. But he would just wander around the college campus, and you'd like hear this distant accordion approaching as you were like walking around or whatever he was playing that day.
I really appreciate like instruments like that and like the hurdy-gurdy that are like, super ancient and complex and stuff that
but they're cool
takes
they're so unique.
Yeah, it takes a trained hand to really, get on.
But they're like I think they're probably like $300 roughly. When I've looked into, and that's like even the broken ones. You can get them with like several broken keys for that, and then for like and it's just a lot to like shut out if you've never like. I don't know anybody who plays it, like who could teach me. I don't know if I'd be any good at it. Like it's a lot. But I feel like the joke answer is an automaton, because those things are cute as hell. Like I think I could invest in one of those, and I think I'd be pretty decent at it, because you just slide them down, I think.
They're very accessible instruments. I think I've had a guest on before who did like an automaton cover like maybe once or twice. Like if I had,
they should replace those. Like the little plastic recorders kids play. Like they just give them.
Oh my god,
yeah. So much better.
Like honestly, I'd love to buy one of those myself if I had the spare money for it. But I don't know. I don't know if you would call it a gag instrument. I bought instead like a bunch of harmonicas, like a pack of harmonicas to learn on stream, like how to play harmonica, and I was somewhat successful in that. I think I still sort of have the knowledge bouncing around in my head somewhere, but I have not practiced. That is the real kicker for me with tonal instruments. I hardly ever practice them with consistency to get the scales or anything down.
You've got to have a real passion for it. Like either you've got to have somebody, like if you're a kid being told like you've got to do your lessons, or you've got to have a passion for it.
Exactly.
Like that's so admirable when people do it, or when they just somehow know how to do it. Like some people just are built like that, and I don't get it, but good on them.
Yeah, exactly. I've tried learning guitar like 3 times now, and each time I just get into like practicing like scales and like trying to steady my strumming hand so I can pick like specific strings and all that, and it is a fucking struggle and a half.
And it's just a different mindset, because I'd love to be able to play guitar, because I play the piano a little bit. I did piano lessons from being little, but I'm not very like, that's kind of where the passion thing comes into it, because I learned the fundamentals of it. I didn't enjoy it the way I enjoyed singing. But doing that was like, a keyboard is so different from a guitar, because you can't like the way you have different tunings for guitar, or you get those things where you I don't even know what they're called. I don't know if you've got guitars, but like the things where you like block off the strings, like
Oh, like
You just don't
capo
do that with pianos. Yeah, capo. Yeah,
or capo
that like
barring, whatever the technique
mm,
is.
that's just a completely different way of thinking, you know, than
Yeah,
using like
yeah.
piano keyboard. And then there, you know, like it's the same thing if you've got. I mean, I don't get people who can play like string instruments like violins and stuff that are fretless. How do you do that? I don't understand.
Oh my god, yeah.
Mystery.
I mean, there's no shame. Like I was speaking to a guest on this. I forget their name currently, but I think they were saying something to the fact that there is no shame in keeping the tape on your instruments to know the placements.
I believe
I
it.
remember.
Yeah.
I remember there was when I was I used to play violin in like middle school, elementary school. Again, I never practiced it, and I always kept the the tape to know where to place my fingers to produce like tonal notes and all that. It is a good experience though, you know. It was a very formative experience for me, and like letting me know that maybe I was more of a rhythm guy than an instrument, you know, like melodic harmonic guy.
It's always so fun to get to try though. Like I remember one of our lecturers at uni brought in his cello, and he was just like,
Oh,
"Go on,
nice.
just try it." And it was awesome. I was like, I don't know how to work this thing, but this is really cool.
Cellos are really neat instruments. Like, you know, holding them upright, getting to like I don't know. I have a friend who plays the cello, and he's like really super. He really gets deep in there with like the sliding and the and the bow technique. It's great. A really good cello player.
They're magic.
Let me see. So, your taste, you sent me a list of some of your favorite artists prior to the stream. Your taste in music revolves pretty heavily around Vocaloid and Japanese singer-songwriters, as you kind of mentioned before. How has that, like, really shaped how you write music?
I think, I don't know, I think about this sometimes, like, when I've tried to, I have tried to approach sort of mainstream Western publishers and stuff like that in the last couple of years.
Oh, right.
And it's definitely made me think, because anytime I've been able to talk with someone from a publisher, like, even if they're just, like, a guy, you know, you wouldn't think they'd know anything about kind of, you know, J-pop or K-pop or whatever, and I show them my stuff, and I think, like, oh, this is the most normal of my stuff. And they listen to it, and they go, oh, you're into that Japanese shit, huh? Like, it definitely reflects. It's hard to, like, I think there are some certain things I can definitely say, like, there's a particular like set of VST drums that just seems to be like everywhere in Vocaloid music. There's some like there's a particular piano, like there are some really particular sound palette type things. I don't know, like, but it's difficult to pin down like compositionally what's different. But
I have heard, you know, there are like certain like chord progressions that are really like popular in like Japanese music. Like there's that golden way progression. I forget what exactly.
Yeah,
like, the
the never
sequence
gonna give you
is.
up progression.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. I really do. It is interesting the sort of bias that exists, you know, vis-a-vis, you know, Western pop versus, you know, any Eastern pop genres that exist, you know, like they are. I mean, there are definitely you know, the Japanese, the Koreans, they definitely take their own unique spin on things for sure, but like I don't think it's that wild for things to cross over, you know.
Yeah, well, I think, and I guess the thing with Vocaloid specifically is because it's such a wide range of genres, and it's also like it's weird people as well that it's more difficult to pin down. But I definitely think listening to like J-pop and K-pop, there does seem to be something about like, you know, the way that fashion is in cycles. Music kind of works the same way like that. And I wrote my dissertation about this actually. But there's definitely like, I think it's about a 10-year cycle, maybe if you want to say a 20-year cycle that
I see, yeah.
people have kind of pinned down various points, but that I don't want to say Western music is like one massive monolith, but that, to an extent, it kind of is, versus like Eastern music in the pop sense, that they're both in their own cycles, but they're at different points. And I feel my like personal thing seems to be like J-pop and K-pop are very much. It seems like they're kind of in the 80s, 90s part, like what our music sounded like then. But it's obviously been influenced by what's come after it, and in their own, you know, like there are.
That's interesting.
Wait,
I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's I've thought about it myself too. That, you know, the West, we operate on these sorts of cycles, and, you know, we invent a genre. It's popular for however many years, like say like 50 years or so. And then after that, that gets, you know, absorbed in like the academy, and like it becomes like normalized in Western popular culture. I mean, it happened for jazz, right? You know, jazz was this very subversive African-American art form starting off in the early days, and it got really popular in the 20s and 30s with like swing and big bands, and then...
And it was provocative then as well.
Yeah.
Like, people would be like, what is this devil music, you know?
And then bebop
and then
combos, it continued evolving. It got like really wild until it became like something that, you know... I mean, it got so diverse, so many jazz subgenres that, you know, in a sense, it's sort of diffused into other music rather than like, because there's that. There's also how it was similar to how rock music works too. Like it, you know, sprouted up in the 50s, then it got super popular over the next few years. You know, sprouted more and more subgenres, and boom, now all of a sudden you're learning about rock music in the 2000s as something that was like super popular in the charts. And, you know, now we're experiencing that with hip-hop too. Like Western hip-hop is going through, you know, probably arguably its least popular period in a bit. And there have been concerns, you know, I've heard concerns from people that it's, you know, it's not necessarily that hip-hop is dead, just that it's not, you know, going to be the commercial genre that it once was, you know?
Yeah, but it'll come back eventually. Like, I mean, this is exactly what I was writing my dissertation on, that, like, you know, hip-hop, when it was, I mean, it was kind of the 90s to the 2000s, wasn't it? When it was like the cool counterculture.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The same way as with rock and roll, the same way as with jazz, like, it gets, like, it is normalized, it becomes part of, like, normal culture then. It's no longer cool and countercultural. And then
the establishment,
for something else. But then it'll get dug up and there'll be a resurgence, like, we've seen the disco resurgence with new disco stuff in the early 2020s. It's probably going to be another 20 years, and then there'll be a massive resurgence of, like, oh, this is the cool, like, old thing that we're like, reinventing.
Oh, yeah, no, there's...
It just goes on and goes on.
It feels like there's been a lot of, like, revivalist trends in popular music nowadays, and it does make me worried that we've kind of forgotten how to invent genres, but at the same time, like, the fusions that have been happening because of all these retro trends have been something to behold.
I don't think we'll ever really run out of genres as well. I feel like listening to something, I mean, like, we have 100 gex, and we're making new strange genres.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's definitely going to be people, like, I feel like there's so much potential, you know, that comes with opening up, like, a DAW and pulling up like, there's so many numbers you can fuck with to produce, like, interesting noises that nobody, like, 300, 500 so years ago would have ever conceived of.
Yeah. You could just make something, you can make something totally unique. You can make something that not even anybody in the last, like, 50 years has ever made that sound. Like, it might not be a very nice sound sometimes, but you can try, you know.
Yeah, like try playing Merzbow for a medieval peasant and see what happens to them. Their bones are probably disintegrate.
Obliterated. Yeah.
I was gonna say, Have you gone to very many concerts in the past, like rock, Vocaloid, idol, or otherwise?
So I would like to. I don't like shout about it a lot, but I also don't try and hide it.
Oh yeah.
But if hidden more about me is that I'm registered blind.
Oh.
My particular eye condition, I really struggle in sort of dark settings, so like concerts and dark restaurants and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm functionally completely blind in those settings. So up until like this last year, really, I think I'd been to one or two like kiddie concert type little events with my parents when I was really little. But it wasn't ever something I felt like, oh, I'd be, that's something I could do. But I have a group of really close friends, and they know like my needs and stuff like that. And we saw that Miku. It all comes back to Miku, by the way. That Miku was coming to London in October this last year. So we're like,
awesome.
oh, we should go, and we did it. And it was an amazing experience, and it also helps that like I think particular to like, seems to be, I don't know if they do it in K-pop as well, but certainly like J-pop and Vocaloid, the like pen lights, that's like a really big thing to do Watergate and stuff like that with pen lights, and being able to do that for me in particular, because that's like all I could see was the stage, like the lit up projections and the pen lights, and that was like amazing. That changed my life. I want to go see her.
Yeah.
I want to go see her again.
What accessibility accommodations did they have there? Was it just like the lighting and all that, like all the projections and all that?
Yeah, I mean there weren't really any. We got like seats that were kind of easier to access a little bit. It was mainly just because I was there with my friends that I was able to go. Like it's not something I could really do on my own.
I see. Do you have any fun memories from that show? Like,
oh, when they like, do you know many Vocaloid songs? Do you know "Tell Your World"?
I'm not super familiar with the Vocaloid catalog.
You need to listen to "Tell Your World." It is really, really good. But it's like it's like one of the sort of really big theme songs, like defining songs in Vocaloid. And when that started playing about halfway through, I just like I lost it. I was screaming. I was going mental. It was so good.
Admittedly, I haven't really I'm not that familiar with Vocaloid culture as a whole. I've mainly just been exposed to Hatsune Miku like secondhand for like most of the years I've been on the internet. But I do have a lot of respect for, Vocaloid and the producers behind it. The whole concept of like a vocal synthesizer that you can take and plug into like whatever song you want to write. It's like, it's such a liberating concept, and you can make producers out of people who otherwise wouldn't, have like a band to record or anything, right? That's the whole reason why like Vocaloid. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just definitely that it gives you access to a vocalist, but it also gives you access to an audience. Really, like it's more. I feel it's more difficult with YouTube being the main thing now. But the way that NND used to work, they have like a tag system that you could just look at like what's the most popular track for like this Vocaloid today, and that's.
Oh, I see.
I mean, you couldn't do that as just a regular band. It wouldn't matter how good your music is, people still have to find it, don't they? But you have an established like artist you can collaborate with, in essence.
Absolutely. That's interesting. I wonder, is Nika Nika Duga still around, or are people migrating more these days to YouTube?
So NND is still around, but as far as I'm aware, they've done like it's not very easy to access. Like I don't know what it is they've done, but you can't really access it from outside of Japan very well anymore. And a lot of people have migrated to YouTube, definitely.
That makes sense. I feel it's sad. It feels like a lot of the old internet, more and more of it is consolidating under these huge platforms, and it's something that I want to see us try and reverse this year, if at all possible. But
yeah, it's sad.
And oh yeah, what do you think of Miku in Fortnite? I was
Oh
wondering.
my god. Man, I saw the like model is it ain't it. She's not
Yeah,
swimming, I'm gonna
it's
say.
it's weird seeing her in Fortnite proportions, you know?
Mm. But I'm
I
you know,
mean,
I'm happy for her. I'm glad she's I mean, she was always at that level.
yeah,
musically.
yeah.
But
It's
yeah.
interesting seeing like her songs get added into the Fortnite festival mode, in my opinion, especially because like I used to be I still kind of am. I'm a huge fan of like those rhythm games, like the Rock Band Guitar Hero games. We got like the plastic guitars and drums and all that stuff. So it's really neat seeing like Vocaloid get added into that pool with, you know, a bunch of other Western artists too and stuff. It's like I love games that bring together a huge track list of songs from around the world like that.
Mm.
Okay. So I guess we can get a bit into your songwriting process. So, what do you, what is your process when writing a song? Are there emotions, like that you consciously try to tap into beforehand, or do you sometimes start writing without a clear direction? I'm talking specifically about like when you're writing for yourself.
Well, yeah, I think when writing for myself, I feel like because they're kind of two different points to like when you're given a brief versus writing because I want to write. I feel like it is a bit strange when I've talked to other musicians. A lot of them do want to write themselves, and I actually enjoy the like writing to a brief more to some extent because I feel like it's more challenging. But definitely when I'm writing for myself, there's like you're doing it because you want to, like there's something that you want to express. So I feel like there is a clearer point to it. But I guess from that, like you know, there's going to be the emotions there already. Whereas I feel like maybe with a brief, you do want to tap into the emotion, as you say, rather than like just having it to hand already.
Yeah.
But I feel like for me, in either case, once you know, like once you've established like that emotion, like what do you want it to sound like and what all that kind of stuff, then it's usually just about like kind of word association to me and thinking like, okay, well, what's comparable? What is like just free associating? What does this make me think of? What could be like a good metaphor here, or like even just thinking of a really evocative title and then trying to write from that. You know?
Are you a rhymer? Do you keep a thesaurus close at hand or anything?
Absolutely. I've got whenever I write, I always have thesaurus.com and ramzone.com open all
Oh
the
hell
time.
yeah!
Essential tabs, very important.
Yeah, I remember the few times I've tried, you know, my hand at writing lyrics and stuff. Always looking for a good thesaurus, so a good way to squeeze a particular set of words into a rhyme scheme.
Just write
It
nonsense.
is.
That's all you gotta do.
It's fucking hard though. Like taking a piece of your soul and putting it onto a paper is never really something that like it's never something that comes easy for me. I mean, like I've tried, you know, doing abstract things, sort of writing outside of myself and writing like I guess more not historical, but like, you know, like third person sort of things, you know? Like but I don't know. It's hard to really abstract emotion if I'm not writing about something that's close to me, you know.
Yeah, I think you've definitely always got to find the parallels because I find that sometimes when I'm, you know, if I'm writing like a VTuber brief, I'm thinking like, I don't know what it's like to be, you know, I don't know, a robot from the future or what, you know, like whatever mad thing it is.
Yeah.
But like, I always try and tap into like, okay, what's the closest thing I've felt, or like even if somebody else I've known has talked to me about like feeling a certain way and try to like mirror that somehow.
You can just ask ChatGPT, hey, what's it like being you? No, I'm just kidding.
True.
Yeah, no, speaking of, I guess we can talk about your commissions. Like how do you approach commission work sort of differently there in that way?
I think I'm definitely thinking about it from how do I put it, like branding perspective, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
'Cause, I mean, you know, like I've recognized that when people are you know, if you're a VTuber commissioning an original song, or like I do some stuff for Kai Guy Idols sometimes, like,
Right.
you know, like live performances.
Mhm.
But you have a persona that you want to you want where are the words you want everybody to understand like what your image is and who you are and what you're all about and be
Yeah,
interested in what you're doing. And
That
so
is
like
something
an original song is like an
that
advertisement.
is something, yeah, I've noticed. That's something I've noticed a lot with VTubers. Like original VTuber music, it tends to be very persona heavy. Yeah, like it really very much taps into like that image of the VTuber. Like even if they're saying like their own, like expressing their own unique sort of viewpoints, they're still, you know, dipping their toes into like their own imagery and lore and whatnot. Like I think of like Calliope Mori and how she, you know, portrays herself as like the Grim Reaper and all that stuff and death, and that pops up a lot in her lyrics, even now.
But it tells you so much about like, I mean, she definitely has, you know, there's like a through thread with her music that you could tell it's all her. You can even tell like just from the way she's singing and like the, you know, like everything about it is completely like his Calliope Mori. Here's what she's about. Like you get so much of an idea, you know, even that she's kind of tomboyish from the way she sings. She's, you know, like she's kind of like quirky and yeah, that she's got like all the sort of Grim Reaper death imagery. Like and I feel like that to me when I was starting out doing stuff, I was thinking about like all the VTuber music that I like the most and what's got me interested in particular VTubers. Because I don't know about you, but I've come across a bunch of songs from VTubers where I've been like, I don't know who the hell this is, but they seem really cool just because I like their song. But that's like it's their theme song. It tells you who they are, and I think that should always tell you, you know, it should give you an idea who they are and make you intrigued and want to check out more. So I always think about that when I'm writing. I'm like, okay, well, I want something. Obviously, the client knows what they want as well.
Oh yeah.
So it's about being faithful to what they want, but also like what's gonna do best for them. And even thinking about like, for me, a title is really important. It, you know, it can be really evocative and like the imagery needs to be there, but also it needs to be unique. Like I've had so many times, you know, sometimes clients come to me with like a title name, and I'll be like, gently, there are 20 songs with this title, or like it doesn't really tell you anything about your VTuber, or like, you know, there's a line of like, if they really want it, then that's fine, I'll do that. But I'm always trying to think about like what's going to be like SEO. Sounds really boring and businessy, but
right,
you know, like that's part of it. It's an advertisement to some extent.
Absolutely.
And you want it to be as effective as possible.
Yeah, before you like take commissions, do you do any like research looking into your clients, or like do you ask that information of them, like, hey, give me a little bit about your character or your lore, what have you?
Absolutely. So I mean I have like a form because I'm on like VGen, which is kind of like it's like Fiverr for VTubers if people aren't familiar with it. Or like even a Google form that I just have a thing that's like, give me, you know, at least like one reference for the sound you want. Even if some people don't even really know what genre they want, but they just like, they know they want a song that will make them feel happy or something like that. Like there's such a range of people's, you know, people don't have to know music theory to commission an original song.
Oh my gosh, I'm just really, hold on a second. I'm just realizing I forgot to forgot to get our chat up this stream.
Oh no. People have been screaming into the void this whole time.
Yeah, I it's just because like somebody arrived, and I just noticed, hello RC, welcome. But your message is not showing up on stream. Let me one sec.
I've just been yapping. I'm not even been,
okay.
looking at chat either.
Okay. Da-da-da-da. I wonder if YouTube has fixed their whole, OBS source problem. I don't know if you ever, I don't know if you're familiar. I think something broke recently when, taking the link from the pop-out chat and pasting that directly into the OBS source, and people have had to, create their own extension to get around it.
Oh my god. Yeah, I had that the first time I tried to stream. I had that issue, but I hadn't updated OBS, and that was what the problem was. I was just like, oh, I'm just stupid. I can't get it to work. Like, I'd gotten it to work as a test before that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just no chat.
Great idea for a talk. Favorite solo singers? That is a good question. What would be my favorite singer? I feel like I blank on this question so often. It'd probably be like somebody in the rock world. Like, I don't know. Like, Rob Halford is coming to mind right now. Judas Priest, but I couldn't give you a good answer off the top of my head. There's so many great ones in rock history, just in general. What do you think? What are your favorite singers? Shiro.
I had the same problem because it's kind of, there's like, the people at the top are all at the same kind of, like, mostly they're all at the same kind of skill level. So at a certain point you're not even picking between skill, you're just being like, oh, I like this person's tone, I like this person's tone, and it's completely subjective.
Yeah. No, I absolutely know what you mean there with, like, comparing tones and timbres of, like, oh my gosh, like, I've been listening to a lot of hair metal recently. I do this, like, research series, on the rise and fall of hair metal. Like, I recently uploaded, like, the first part a few months ago, and I'm working on the second right now. And I'm going through just a glut of all these albums with, like, the same sorts of chugging riffs, the same sorts of, shrieky, similar sounding vocals. It's hard to really, like, come at it with a critical mind when everything sort of runs into each other,
Yeah, and they're all emulating the same techniques as well, which makes it even more difficult. Like, they're all
absolutely.
Like, I don't want to generalize, but, like, with hair metal in particular, I feel like it's very homogenous in the inspiration, because it's only been around so long that they're all like copying the same guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was
the same techniques.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was, like, around in terms of, like, mainstream popularity. I mean, it was around a while, but it was still, like, such a short period. It was a short window that, like, all the acts were sort of copying each other, in spite of the few that were trying, like, unique stuff here or there.
Yeah, there'll always be, those folks, but yeah, there's definitely always a lot underneath.
Yeah.
I guess, like, in terms of well, it's not like rock to the same kind of extent, but I've always really liked Brandon Flowers, the lead singer for the Killers.
Oh yeah,
he's
great.
Such a unique voice. I love him.
Killers are fantastic. I love, like, their first few albums. I haven't really kept up with them since, like, 2012, but, like, Hot Fuss, Sam's Town, both stellar alternative rock albums. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, other than that, has business been good with on the commissions front?
Yeah, so so the thing is, I did a 3-year music degree that I graduated in May of this last year, 2024. And I was like, I'm gonna go, because I've been prepping to go full-time with songwriting stuff. Like, I was doing it while I was in uni, but I thought, yeah, I'm gonna prep to do this. And I'm gonna be honest, I was expecting to struggle for the first couple of months. I kind of, like, saved up some money. I was like, man, if it doesn't work, then I'll just get an office job. It'll be fine. Man, people have been so supportive.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I feel incredibly lucky that things have been really good. I'm usually doing, like, at least 1 song a month, but generally, like, sometimes I'm doing 2, and I'm getting faster as well, which is always good. Like,
it's crazy.
I feel like I'm really getting more effective.
I saw you posted a playlist of like your original music on social media recently, and I looked in it, and I'm surprised you worked with like Obake Pam and like fucking Octavio
Mm.
from Hollistar ZN was singing one
Oh,
of
that
your
was
songs. Like,
yeah, that was
it's
amazing.
crazy.
Worldwide Carol was that was crazy times. It was so nice working on that with her. Pam's
Mm-hmm.
just Pam's moi. I love Pam.
Mm-hmm. What was I? Oh yeah. So like, what inspired you to go towards the VTuber space? Like, were there any particular VTubers like starting out that you were really, I guess, inspired by on the songwriting front?
I think we'll definitely like we were talking about Clive Moore before.
Right. Yeah.
That was definitely because when I was sort of starting out and like approaching VTubers to write for them, that was, that was just after Myth had debuted, and that was crazy to see that was her main thing. Like I hadn't seen any other VTubers doing that sort of thing. So like definitely, she's a big inspiration in that way. I feel like there are more folks like me that aren't really VTubers, primarily.
Right.
But they just write for VTubers, and that's definitely been like, so like I've been able to meet a lot of folks in the community like that, which has been really nice. Definitely like Ferris was like, I don't know if you're aware of Ferris, but like they were definitely a big inspiration. They've done Rin Penrose, right? Have you heard Gold Age?
I think I've heard of her. Yeah.
So Ferris wrote that, and I remember seeing that and thinking like, whoa, this is amazing, this is crazy. And like it's the same kind of thing that conveyed so much about Rim Penrose and like their whole deal, that was like
Right on, yeah.
But it was seeing people like that and seeing folks succeed, and also that the JP side of VTubing, like musically, it's obviously like it's really intertwined with the sort of anime-song and J-pop industry.
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
Like, there are a lot of mainstream folks that are being approached to do JP VTuber music, but like that's so advanced at this point that there are so many people like seeing all the stuff like Chamelea's doing. What was it called? Rodent's Kingdom. The song they did for Iron Mouse a couple months ago. Like that's amazing.
Oh wow.
They do amazing work. So there's just so many really high quality songs on that side as well for people to look at and be like, oh, I love you, I want to be like you.
Yeah. See, the real challenge, and it's gonna happen probably in the next few years. The real challenge is gonna be getting a VTuber song like to chart in like the Billboard Top 40. Like I know, like Callie's already had some sort of success on Billboard. I know that like. I don't know. There have been charting VTuber albums in the past, especially on Oricon, I'm sure, but...
And the question is, I feel like now, between... we had, like, the Gura, like, she did the baseball thing,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
like,
yeah.
The normies got exposed to her, and now Miku's on Fortnite. I feel like it's a race between who's gonna get, like, a #1 in the US first, Miku or a VTuber. We will see.
See, that's interesting. Like, who... Like, if a Vocaloid song is a charting hit, who gets the credit? Is that Hatsune Miku, or is it the producer?
I think it would definitely be the producer. Miku ain't writing it.
Yeah. That's interesting. Let's see. Oh yeah. So what do you hope to do? Hope to accomplish as a musician in the VTuber community, or with youtaites or otherwise?
So it's something I've been thinking about like for the past year or so, about like where do I want to go with it. I think I've definitely got some like I'd like to dip my toes into the more mainstream industry as well. Like
Right.
I enjoy VTubing, like VTubing music the most, really, because I think it's so like it's wacky, like it's you would never be able to write the sorts of styles and like about the sorts of topics in mainstream music or like even vital music,
Yeah.
So it's definitely my primary focus, but it'd be nice to be able to branch out a little bit. But in terms of VTuber stuff, I'd really like to be able to work with an agency. That's kind of boring answer, but I feel like the big crazy dream I have is that like this is insane, but I'd like to do so like you saw World Like Carol, that
Mhm.
doing that really like just a big chorus of people. Like I was just like, oh, this is so nice. And there's something else I've got coming out hopefully in February, I've been told. That's
Oh,
sort of
cool.
similar with a really big group of folks. It's gonna be really nice. And it's just
Y-
made me really want to do something like that. But I'd like to do a big British VTuber song because we've got so many.
Oh,
Like we've got Rin Penrose, we've got ERB, Magos, we've
yeah.
got we've got Utano Pandora, we've got GXORA. Like we've got all these amazing folks,
You
and
guys
I
got
just
some
want to write
powerhouse
like
singers.
yeah, I want to write like. Did you ever watch Italia? Are you familiar with like some of the character
uh,
songs from that? There's like, and
I
there are
I remember Hitalia from back in the day, but it's
yeah,
been a while.
there are like the like the England character has like some character songs that are like ones called like Pub and Go and stuff like that. Just
Mhm.
like a silly thing that's like people drinking tea and stuff. That's what I want
Mm.
to do. I think that'd be really really fun to be able to get something like that together. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but that would
Hey,
that's
yeah.
my big crazy dream.
Oh yeah. um, like of the collabs you've had so far, which would you say is your favorite?
Oh, I can't. Choosing between my children. I mean, there are definitely like I feel like I can say, World Wide Carol it was amazing to get to work with so many like people really at the top of their game, and like
Right,
as I say,
yeah.
a big chorus thing that was really cool. But like there are other
Mhm.
things. Like I really enjoyed doing a song I did a couple months ago called Resaturator. It was like a
Mhm.
Eurobeat J-pop thing. I loved working on that. That was really cool because I
Mm.
just like it's a sort of weird kind of niche thing that I just really enjoyed getting like dug into that. There's been other stuff
Yeah.
like it's not been released, but there's a thing I worked on where I was given like a bunch of the like Mozart and Bach
Oh,
suites.
neat.
And because the person's like VTuber concept was all kind of related to that like classical
Mhm.
Rococo style.
Oh,
And being able to do like I'm not a classical person at all, to be
right.
honest. But like listening to that, and I got into like some of Buck's harpsichord suites as well. I was like,
Uh-huh.
man, I'm a huge fan of this guy now. Like he goes so hard
Oh,
on the
hell yeah.
harpsichord. But yeah, getting to write stuff like that, I feel like that's kind of, I don't have like favorite songs, but I have like songs where I think this really pushed me out of my comfort zone, or I got to do something
Oh,
completely
nice.
new that I really enjoyed with that, and those are kind of the highlights. But I love every song I write.
Very nice. Yeah, no, it's neat getting to, expand out of your comfort zone with stuff that you do. I mean, God knows, I keep on trying to listen to new types of music whenever I can, or at least I used to be better at it. I don't know. As I get older in age, I find myself sort of leaning more on my particular biases. Right, I listen more to stuff in like the psychedelic rock arena of things rather than keeping more of an an
Mm.
open like sort of like I don't know. I'm not listening to my Spotify Discovered or whatever.
Yeah, but even then, like, it's so. I mean, they cater it towards you as well. I feel like that's kind of it's changed how people consume and find music now. When like Spotify
Yeah.
thing, because it's an algorithm specifically for you, and that's great for finding music that you
Yeah.
like. But it's not great for challenging yourself to some extent.
Yeah, that is true. And plus, I don't know, Spotify these days. The only really reason I really use it is because my playlists are on there, and
Mm.
it's good for the gym. I've never, I've
Yeah.
never, I've never purchased Spotify Premium. I have no desire to do so, really.
Mm. Yeah, it pays so. I feel kind of dirty using Spotify because I know it pays like
Yeah,
a fraction of a penny to artists, but at the
yeah,
same
that's
time,
the thing.
it's so when you, as I say, when you make the playlists on there, like they make it difficult on purpose to port it over to anywhere else. So I'm stuck with it.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
And it's not like there's really any better alternatives. Like, I mean,
Mm.
Apple Music is still exploitative in its own right. Fucking Deezer and Tidal are like non-entities.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could use. I feel like the thing is just that because things like these are entitled and smaller streaming services. They do pay fractionally more to artists. They're not as exploitative, but it's because they can't be. And the problem is that if everybody was like, right, fuck Spotify, we move into Deezer today, Deezer would become exactly like Spotify as soon as
that is true. Yeah. And that is the unfortunate truth of the music industry. Oh, so how did you learn production?
So it stemmed so for a lot of people, I feel like they learn everything at once. Like,
right.
Because a lot of people start out with, music production as a whole, like they want to do full songs. And for me, because I started out as a singer primarily, that I started doing vocal mixing in 2013, 2014.
Right.
And I started doing that on commission, but that's with, like a fully mastered instrumental, and you just stick the vocals on top of it and try to make it sound like it's one thing, So I was doing that for probably 5-6 years until I started getting into songwriting like properly on a kind of I could do this commission kind of way.
Right.
So I'd like to think I got pretty good at vocal mixing, and then I started trying to do. So like I learned some of the foundations from that, I guess, but the voice is really different from a full-on song mix, so I wasn't very good at like song production as a whole from the very beginning, but like I could do the vocal bit. So I've kind of just been learning, like it was mostly like all the vocal production stuff was completely self-taught, and then I was doing song production stuff self-taught as well, and until I went on. I did a music degree, as I said, I just graduated from this year. So
nice.
I got a little bit of help at that point, guidance with song production from doing that. But I'd been like doing it for maybe 3 or 4 years before that anyway. So it was kind of a weird point to be getting instruction. But that's kind of the weird way around. I've ended up doing it, but I feel like I hope I feel like I'm getting pretty decent, but I think the thing that being on the degree also taught me, like I don't know if you know much about like sort of like mixing and mastering engineers like in the true sense, like the wizard.
Nah, barely.
But, yeah, well, because they're so mysterious, but like in the sense that when I started doing the music degree, I didn't really know, like I knew I really liked songwriting, but I was like, oh, maybe I could be a mixing engineer, a mastering engineer, or something like that as well.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun. And I realized really quickly, no.
It is
Unless
pain.
You have to dedicate yourself. Like your ears need to be perfectly attuned. You need the exact, like you need 1,000 upon 1,000 pound equipment in the perfect space. Like even if you have an asymmetrical room, that's it.
Never leave your home without earplugs. That type of beat.
Yeah. Like there's so much that goes into it, and I feel like I kind of have to learn that I can do the I can get the track like 95% ready, like by kind of radio mainstream standards. I can get it to that point, but to get that like 5% left, that's like you pay those people a lot of money for a good reason, because they are wizards. They are really specialized and they've dedicated their whole lives to that craft, and I'm not gonna do that because I just like doing songwriting, and I think that my productions otherwise at a good enough level.
Absolutely. That's the thing, like getting good enough at production where you personally feel satisfied with the product you're presenting to your audience. Like I've recorded a few covers for my channel, or mostly just like vocal stuff, and like I do like MIDI drums and stuff. Like I played like live drums, and like it translates out to MIDI on the computer that I get to quantize and stuff. It comes out decently. Like it's kind of like the production you were specializing on early on, just like slapping a track that I record on top of an instrumental, right? But I don't know. I do feel, I feel like the products that I produce are decent enough, but at the same time, I definitely haven't. I do not feel as confident in my vocal mixing.
But I feel like the good thing about the fact that I've approached it that way, like having talked to a lot of other folks in the community who have like approached it the other way around, and they are doing, like they've been doing the song mixing and not really worried about vocals, and now they're learning vocal mixing. That it really is a specialized skill, and like because every voice is so different as well. That, like, and there's so many little weird things you can do to really improve a vocal performance. That I'm glad I did it that way around, because I think that really gave me an edge in some sense, because it's really difficult, especially like if you were doing vocal mixing, for people like with a studio mic in a like soundproof studio and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's kind of a piece of piss, like
exactly.
all,
like my fucking
skill floor level, but
my fucking issue is my fucking issue is like making sure that one, you can hear my voice, but also that you can't hear every other fucking thing in my in my apartment room. Like it's like.
Yeah. Did you say are you using a Blue Yeti? Were you saying?
Yeah, I've got a Blue Yeti.
One of those. And it definitely they really are sensitive, because I remember like I would get, if somebody was downstairs, like I'd be recording in my bedroom. If somebody was downstairs, like you'd hear them like the vibrations in the house. Like you need I don't know if they do them for, they must do them for Blue Yetis in some sense, but you get what are they called? They're like a shock absorber.
Oh yeah.
That's usually what you get to kind of like disconnect the microphone from the vibrations around, so that like if you hit your desk, it's not gonna go boom.
I've never seen like I've never bought a shock absorber or something like that. I should probably look into it. I've got a pop filter. That's the extent of my.
Those are a lifesaver.
Oh yeah, I've got a pop filter. I've got a mic arm, but that's the extent of like the accessories I have for it.
Even, I don't know, but I would guess like maybe even some kind of like rubber thing kind of insulate it in, like a rubber mat underneath. The stand or anything like that might even help somewhat.
Yeah.
Like some weird little thing, like audio's so weird. Like any kind of audio tech stuff is always just like, oh, get some egg cartons or like a piece of rubber or whatever thing like that.
Honestly,
weird hack.
I'm just thankful that, it's more than just the one thing, but I'm thankful that I'm able to get a decent sounding voice thing just by slapping a few OBS filters and turning on that it's noise suppression.
Yeah, because it's so important. Like you definitely, like I see it with YouTubers as well, but like VTubers too. That like that's obviously having a nice model is one thing, but I feel like,
oh my god, if you
really
struggle with audio,
recording,
forget it.
Yeah, that's it. People they're not gonna stay and listen if you don't have like decent audio. So it's just like, I feel like it's a really important thing that so many people don't actually seem to understand. That's like a fundamental.
Yeah, like, oh my god, when I started off early on in my VTubing journey, right, I had no streaming experience whatsoever. And I set up my model, I got the OBS running and all that, and it streamed well enough, but those early streams of mine, oh my god, their audio is garbage to your mixing. Like, it's a shame too, because like some of those early streams I used to do like sort of like review tier list sort of content where I would go through like artist discographies and like rank their albums or whatever. And some of those early streams I am somewhat proud of like the research I did, but the audio is just shit. Let's see. So currently, I saw on Blue Sky, I think I saw you post recently that you're planning a concert for your original songs. Is that it?
Yeah, well, so this is the second year that I'll be running it. It's called Another Fest.
Oh.
No. But so I did it last year. It was at the end of April, and it was really kind of my dissertation showcase type thing for the
I see.
final year of my degree. So I was just kind of showcasing as much music as I could, and they were like, "Oh, we want something, sort of innovative presentation." I was like, "Well, what's more innovative than a Vtuber concert? I'll weird out all my professors." And also, it was a good excuse to get. I got my Vtuber model partly funded by my university, which is really strange, but hell yeah.
That's
so
fucking.
Like, well...
That is amazing.
So I'm really glad I did that. But yeah, it went really well, and I got to meet and like collaborate with a bunch of folks that I really love their work, like some really cool vocalists.
Very neat.
And it was quite kind of because it was for my music degree, like there was a limited scope. Like I had to get people, that it was only really singing that I could get. Like, and
right.
What I'm hoping to do with this this concert this year is to widen the scope a little bit. So I'm still looking for singers primarily, but like I've seen people doing like 3D dancing. I've seen so many like cool VTuber instrumentalists. Maybe if you wanted to come on and play some drums, if there are any
like what if
my tracks aren't very drum interesting, but like
are you trying to like get different arrangements of your stuff in the concert too? Is that
I think it kind of so like the applications are out. It's gonna be, I think it's like 3 or so weeks that they're still open, but I was planning to basically see who applied, like if a bunch of people that could fit into an ensemble and would be comfortable like doing that sort of thing, like a full arrangement. Wanted to, but I kind of felt like I've seen a couple of people have applied as like solo instrumentalists. So my thinking was more like probably at a minimum people playing like the vocal part with an instrument as a solo piece.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see who applies, like, because maybe there might be other types of performance stuff I haven't even thought about. So yeah. Interesting.
It's curious that like how does that work? Like once everybody's applied, do you just like send out like the music transcribed into sheet music, or do you do you give them any guidance on how to learn the material?
So as I say, because I guess that would be more like instrumentalist.
Yeah.
It'd probably be up to them. I mean, some people can learn by ear. Right. Some people need sheet music. Some people might like MIDI might be helpful for some people.
Right.
So it'd probably be as people need it for instrumentalists. Like last year when it was only vocalists, I just sent out the instrumental and the the actual like reference track with the lyrics, and just said like have at it, say back the vocals, and I just sort of like did a rough mix for everybody and did the like the green screened VTuber model on like a stage sort of background. So but yeah, it'll be it's gonna be an interesting, I think it'll be like 3 months until the end of April when it should be going on, but
sure.
It's gonna be it was a stressful time last time. It was all worth it, but yeah, it's gonna be an interesting few months.
I have a lot of respect for people who are able to, plan a concert and see it through to its completion. Like that shit is not easy to coordinate the schedules of all that many people. Like technically I've never organized my own concert, but I did organize a charity stream, so I would know a little thing or two about trying to get a bunch of people on board for one thing,
at least thankfully.
It's crazy.
I mean, there wouldn't be any way to do it like with everybody live together. So at least it's like it's kind of pre-recorded.
Yeah, at least it's blocked off.
Raw. But yeah, so because that would be a nightmare. I was trying to explain it to my lecturers when I was getting ready to do it all, and they were like, How are you gonna get 30 people in like a Skype call or whatever they thought it was? At the same time, I was like, I'll do it magically. It'll be fine. And they didn't know it was pre-recorded, but I don't think they would have understood.
Well, right on. I mean that it's fantastic. Like I wish that like if I had the resources to like put on a concert for like more like indie VTubers to promote their music, that's the sort of thing that I'd love to do more. But Well, alas, that sort of thing is like, as we said, a lot of time, a lot of effort goes into it.
Well, if you ever, obviously I've got a lot of songs.
Hey.
If it's ever something you wanted to do, maybe we could try and collaborate on something. I'm not very good with the visual side of things, obviously, but like the audio's all okay. Maybe we could
hey, there you
make
go,
something happen in the future.
Perhaps. Speaking of visuals, though, so like, do you get your visuals commissioned for like your videos on YouTube or?
So in terms of like, original songs, generally, it's all like up to the client, basically. Like I just provide all the audio. That's kind of what like my tagline is. I just
Right.
to like finish track. I'll just give you the audio and you do what you want with it. You don't have to do a music video. You can just slap a picture on it that you've drawn in paint.
Okay. That makes sense. If I go to the bathroom real quick.
Go for it.
Alright. Let me just pull up my glass of water. Where the fuck? Where the fuck? Oh. This toilet will do. Alright. I will be right back.
Alrighty, see you on the flip side. I don't know if I've. Oh god, if I've been left like, am I still on the stream? I don't know. Oh no, this could be bad.
Okay, I'm back. Hope my lovely chat kept you entertained.
Me hanging out with the toilet.
So I've only got like a few more questions. Hey, Sengo, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well.
Ew.
So I've only got a few more questions that I have written down here. So as as you mentioned earlier, you tend not to stream as much as like other VTubers, like people in the space. Is there a reason for that? Just you're more passionate for the music side, the music making side of things.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's a kind of time thing in that like I spend the majority of my time writing and doing all the music stuff. I also don't want to I don't want to like show work that I'm doing for clients that they don't want to be published.
Oh yeah,
because it's not been released as well, so there's kind of not much that I can stream in the way of music.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I think my computer might explode if I tried to stream like FL Studio is just really intensive for whatever reason, especially when you're trying to use like real sounding instruments. It just I can't even have Google Chrome open with FL Studio. I don't know why.
Oh my god.
I thought my computer was good enough, but it's not. So,
Mhm.
yeah, and I feel like it's a real skill as well. Like you're clearly really good at it, but just like being able to talk naturally and like engage with chat and stuff like that.
Oh
It's
yeah.
definitely like, it's an entertainment skill, and I feel like that's not really. I don't have that
Yeah.
so much. I find it kind of stressful.
It takes a
So,
lot to, it takes a lot to riff. I know for certain. Like back in the early days when I tried variety streaming, that was a big hurdle to really, keep my interest. Eventually I just decided to pivot to, making long form content because I feel like I'm more used to like working on things for like months behind the scenes and dropping them for, subsequent approval than like trying to court a live audience by doing things, that very few people will see at first.
mm, yeah, yeah, you gotta work your own strengths. I feel like.
Hmm. I The thing is though, like I do still like, doing stream. I just think like I'm not built for, I guess, the 3 times a week trying to, do
Mm,
different like games and like different, Zatsudans and all that sort of stuff. I like I like doing things once a week like I do on my channel here, where I have like a sort of weekly thing that I do, a platform that I give to like different VTubers, different creators and stuff. And then I do my own thing, like primarily on the side.
mm.
Ugh. Let's see. Um. So, I think there's only one more question here that I had planned. That's something that I've been asking recently, as our the world has gone even more to shit. What sort of music do you listen to in times of stress? Like, are you the sort of like catharsis, or like just being in your feelings?
I feel like I don't know if this is a common. Like I've talked with some other music folks, like especially people who do music,
Yeah, yeah.
as a job in some way. That I think it seems to be sort of common. But like when I'm really truly stressed, I feel like I don't want to listen to music.
Hmm.
And I think like especially as I've gotten more into like writing and stuff. I think it's just because like I listen to music so much anyway that like
Okay.
I think for a lot of people, if you don't listen to music a lot, like when you're stressed, you turn to that because it's something different. Like that's how to kind of engage your brain in that way.
Yeah.
But that's it's like an exception to have silence is really nice, and also that
Mm.
I can't listen to music passively anymore. Like I'm always. I'm thinking about like, oh,
Yeah.
what is
Oh,
that
that's a
sound?
neat
How could
idea.
I recreate that? Like how have they done this?
Yeah,
What's the
yeah.
production trick to this? Um,
That is very tricky. I can relate to that as somebody who was a
mm.
music major in cat college.
Are
I
you
did
are you like
definitely.
thinking about the drum parts? You're like tapping it out.
Yeah, yeah. like listening to the pieces of music and being like, "Ooh, that they did something really neat there."
Mm. Yeah. I mean that's kind of true stress. Like I do still listen to music for fun, but I feel like that's
Yeah.
just a difference between like if I was really stressed, then I'm at like no more no more capacity to to be doing that sort of
No,
thing. But
honestly, that's
like
valid.
but I still listen. Like I have a sort of like a chill out playlist. It's just like
Mm.
random sort of pop stuff. Like obviously expect like a lot of. Honestly, my playlists are kind of cursed. Like I have a chill out playlist. I have like an upbeat / sort of rock and metal playlist,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's like they're both mixes of like Vocaloid, J-pop, K-pop, and then like random bits of Western like top 40 radio music, but like the
Yeah,
cheesiest
yeah.
stuff possible. Like that's what I really like with Western music is just the really cheesy stuff, and then random
Absolutely.
bits of like I've been trying to get more into like C-pop and like some French
Oh,
stuff and things
nice.
like that. So yeah, they're completely cursed all my playlists, but I think it just depends on like. Sometimes I'll listen to the chill out playlist really, really quiet if I'm doing something like I've been this last week I've been building this accursed IKEA thing and there's so many screws, so many dowels, just everything. Just like it's mindless work that I don't need to think. So I just had the chill out playlist blasting as I was doing that on my little production line.
Oh yeah, it helps to have something like to sort of, not to take your mind off a task, but more to like hone it in, you know.
Yeah, well, it's something to like actively, that's like engaging my brain while I'm doing something sort of mindless with my hands. That, or like if I want to pump myself up, I'll listen to the upbeat playlist. That it's like if you want to evoke certain emotions or like, well, yeah, I mean, because calm is an emotion. So yeah, I just kind of feel like, well, what do I want to feel like? I'll listen to music that'll make me feel like that, so long as I'm not stressed out of my mind.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I put on a mix of some of your music on your channel before the interview to do a little, exercise in my room, and it did fit pretty well. You've got an knack for making some very energetic stuff.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's my I wouldn't say I have like a style so much, but I really do like doing the more like energetic music, like when it's got a big pumping beat behind it. That really that really it's nice as well, just being able to listen to it. Like I love doing like calmer stuff is really nice as well. Like I like all music, and I love the variety that I get to do with features.
Yeah,
that's another thing that I love about it. But at the same time, like it's a lot easier if I'm really struggling with a song. If it's really hype, I can kind of ride that wave that you can't do in the same way if it's a really calm song.
Yeah, that is true. You can get you can get away with a lot more repetition and like in a very upbeat song, as opposed to like being slow. There's a lot more nakedness there.
You just like throw loads of stuff in as well. There's like a musical hotpot when you're doing like a really, like especially with electronic music, that you can just like have 30 different parts playing at the same time and nobody knows, but it just makes it feel so much thicker. Whereas if you're doing like a really like a really slow acoustic piece, like you have like 4 instruments that you have to work with, and you can try and hide stuff in there if you want, like with pads and things, but generally like you've got to be really purposeful with it, and it's more difficult in some senses, I feel like.
Yeah, a lot of layers to bounce there. Alright, well, I don't really have anything more on my itinerary here. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up with me, or?
Well, I was kind of interested with your last question about like what kind of music do you listen to?
Oh, sure.
But yeah, in times of stress, are you psychedelic rock maybe? Is that?
When I'm really stressed, I don't know. I guess it depends if I'm angry stressed or if I'm sad stressed. If I'm angry stressed, I'm fine with putting on some very loud, distorted, music, like just psychedelic rock a bit. Like I don't know if you're familiar with the band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They got some really aggressive heavy metal albums that I love bumping. I don't know. I do relate to your feeling of not wanting maybe to listen to music if I'm too in my feelings. I feel like it'd just kind of be awkward there.
But I get the thing. Like I find it really fascinating, like the different ways people do listen to music though. Because like I feel like I only really kind of learned this in the last couple of years by talking to people. Because I wouldn't listen to like super distorted, non kind of melodic like rock. I like sort of pop rock and stuff like that.
Right,
I also don't really listen to like lo-fi and things. Like I don't get the purpose, because it doesn't really work for me in the same way. But from talking with other people, like as you say, that listening to really like distorted, super, like oh my God, I just scared one of the dogs. But that could be really cathartic to people, and I feel like that's an entirely different way of listening to music. That everybody has a different purpose for doing it, and I always find it really interesting to see, like, because some people would only listen to lo-fi, for example, and like that helps some people concentrate, whereas for other people, like as I say, for me, like I would be focusing on that and thinking like, oh, this doesn't help me concentrate.
I will say I do
yeah.
really like that sort of mellow music for like just sort of chilling out and vibing, but I don't know. I feel like, you know, at the end of a day, like I usually gravitate more towards playing video games or watching a live stream than, you know, listening to music to de-stress, if anything.
Yeah, it's interesting, different strokes for folks, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
how everybody uses music.
Well, Shiro, it's been a pleasure having you on. I think we've had quite a lively conversation.
Yeah, it's been really cool chatting.
Yeah, where can people best find you?
So it's really easy because I am another_Shiro on everything, pretty much. Except Blue Sky obviously has the BSKY social thing on the end. But
Yeah.
I am on Twitter. I will keep calling it Twitter. I'm not calling it X. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. I think that's all I'm on. Yeah. And you
go
can
follow
linked to everything else.
Go follow Another Shiro. She's great. She does great songwriting and her voice is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. And to everybody who has come tonight, I know things weren't as lively as usual, but I'm fine with that. I'm still grateful for anybody who swung by, anybody who chatted, regardless. Thank y'all for coming by, and hopefully I'll be able to give some more news soon on Glam Metal Part 2 Deep Dive. I think I've said before, I'm quite close now. Hopefully to the end. I'm on the fourth and final part. I just need to get through that and the conclusion, and we should be Gucci. So stay tuned for more news about that. Hopefully I'll be announcing my next guest for the next Music Talk stream in due time. But until then, thank y'all once again for tuning. Oh wait, actually, is there anyone that I want to dump off to in terms of redirects? I think we're fine. I'm just gonna leave things here and go get some grub. So, thank y'all once again for tuning in, and I will see y'all next time. Goodbye!
Bye!